Hey everybody, uh, we're doing, so I'm gonna do some more solo stuff just because we haven't released stuff in a while. I want to practice editing things and figuring things out with different equipment we have. And so for a few videos, I had a series idea, which I'll probably release a couple of, but I mostly decided it was just super boring. I don't really feel like there's not a lot. I mean, there's kind of particular things where I feel like I can maybe do something worth watching by myself, but for the most part, they were just like super boring videos. So, we're just gonna do some whatever stuff that I feel like doing and put them out. And yeah, hopefully Mark will be back with me soon. He's been real busy with raising a child. Yeah. And so we were planning on recording a couple of times, and that fell through. But, you know, he's got more important things to do, so we'll just do some other things. I'm playing Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, which everyone has already seen a bunch of before. So, but, you know, it's a fun game, and I wanted to, kind of for my own edification, just play around with it and figure out some things to do with some of these like weird units that don't have a whole lot of use. Oh gosh, I hope I had the audio properly turned down for this. First on our list is the Ballooner, a secret unit introduced around the same time as the Renaissance update. What they do is they got glue or tape or something all over their arms, and if they smack someone with their arm, they'll grab and yank them up into the sky with this little balloon thing, and then they drop them. So they get one deployment of the balloon, I think. Yeah, so I think the blue unit used theirs first. Yeah, and after that they'll just kind of wail on each other with their glue hands. So, not great melee units. In a lot of situations to be effective, you really need a second one to like withstand the first attack before they can reliably get a hit off. So they do okay against range units. Well, you actually missed. Usually a range unit's gonna take down one of them, and then the other one gets to drop them on their heads. Oh, that didn't actually kill them. Fortunately, the fall damage isn't as reliable as it could be. So, even in a case where you can reliably stick a guy, you may not always be able to finish them off. And this kind of gets worse, actually, with the more ballooners you have. So, for example, you need a bunch of guys to even think about getting a Minotaur up in the air. But once you do, I mean, I don't know if they're even going to be capable. Yeah, so partially they keep them stuck on the ground if they keep sticking them in a mob. Another issue, though, is that quite often, yeah, you can see these like fast attacking units will just continuously murder them. If I think if the ballooner, like, continued to float up even when they were dead, I mean, continued to stick to a guy even when they were dead, it would be a more viable strategy. But yeah, they're not going to get your heavy guys up, and even if they do, there's kind of an inverse effectiveness. Alright, so you can get a halberd up in the air. They have quite a bit of health though, so they're not going to die from a single fall. And quite often what happens is this little mosh pit of ballooners underneath will just break the fall of units. So if you're using a bunch of ballooners, it's just not effective. You kind of want to... So they have to be spread out in some way for it to actually do anything. Could they even take a harvester? Probably not. Harvesters are kind of heavy, so harvesters are probably just going to kill them both immediately. Yeah. Wheelbarrow. Like, I don't think they can even lift him. Yeah. They're not even really, though, good against ranged units, because you could just do, like, any... Like, the amount of ballooners you'd need to take down this amount of guys, you could just do, like, a couple of berserkers and probably just murder them all. Immediately. So, I don't know, there's not really a lot to be in with Ballooner. I guess if for some reason you have just 90 points left, you might as well get a halfling or a bard or anything else, really. Alright, so moving on. Here's one that's actually had quite a few buffs recently. They were pretty bad before, but I was playing around with a bit. And the fanboys, so what they do is, like, wind, it counts as a projectile. So you can actually speed that up with the cheerleader. Which makes them a pretty effective pushing unit. More cost-effective to just have, like, 2 of them, really. Or yeah, so that's the same cost as 1 cheerleader. Right. And the wind itself will eventually kill them. But these, I find, like, if you can see that a group of units are going to sort of coalesce in one spot, and particularly what I'm thinking of is this sort of standard phalanx formation, all the spear guys. Does a pretty good job of disrupting the, well, does an okay job without the shield, so if you're just doing standard infantry, yeah, shields unfortunately are pretty, or the big heavy units are pretty effective wind breaks. But you can see he's actually done quite a bit of devastation here, just with the winds. And for price comparison, it's a good trade. So again, your big shield knights are going to get through. Squires by themselves, probably going to be held at bay. They're not effective in any form against ranged. So, mostly if you have a bunch of mass melee units you need to worry about, a couple of fanners is a pretty good investment, I think. The dreaded halfling swarm. Halflings don't have a whole lot of health. Now it may actually be doing knockback damage, which halflings may have a little bit more resistance to somehow. So it looks like the halflings are actually going to get through this lot. Hey Baylor, so looks like they stand much of a chance. You don't need too many of these guys. If you've got a properly spaced enemy. Yeah, so they're causing quite a bit of delay here at least. So I think they'd be good paired up with someone who can take a lot of advantage of that. Yeah, they did okay. I guess Ninja's not great against hoplites. Who would be one to take advantage of that? Maybe the dragon? Dragon doesn't really need help to take care of. The firework archer isn't bad, but you know actually who would be, I think, really good with this? I think they did maybe buff the potion sellers a bit a while ago. Yeah, this kind of strategy seems super effective. Yeah, that's pretty devastating. That's like twice the amount of points if you're just dealing with a mass of infantry. Obviously, like, a couple of archers are probably going to ruin this day, but you know, something they could probably use pretty effectively in a bigger line. I just like raptors. They're a cool new unit. Woo. So happy looking. Ah, bouncy raptor boys. Bouncy raptor boys. It's beautiful. Majestic creatures. Let's not get distracted. So we're talking about units that aren't super effective. Raptors are pretty cool. They're the goods, sort of glass cannon charge units. I kind of always won the game. I think the last guy I want to look at this session is the Shouter, which is another recent addition. So like the Fanbearer, they are wind-based units. Or knockback-based units. Yeah, so they're the, like, Skyrim, Shouty Viking guys. They don't do a whole lot of damage with their knockback, so it's not likely you're actually gonna kill me one that way. The winds can be circumvented by kind of weird happenings. They're not great melee units, they don't have any reach or damage, really. And once you're right up in here, the wind doesn't really seem to work. How can we use these guys? Well, again, they're not useful against heavy dudes. They're not gonna blow a ballista away. They're not gonna blow Knight away. I don't even think, like, stacking them really has any great effect. Not really. Cheerleader doesn't improve their special ability rates, which is kind of disappointing. There's not a lot of use to them, to be honest. They don't have any use against range. Not even really a lot of melee units. They're not going to keep things at bay very long. Fanbearers are better with that. The only feasible use I can think of for them is very map specific. And really only the Dynasty map has... Maybe the Dynasty map, maybe the... let's try Medieval 1. Has enough holes or fully off bits. In here, if you like are smart enough, I guess they could actually be extremely cost effective if you can get stuff in the hole. I think a good strategy is to pair them with something like your monk, super tanky. Draw in a bunch of units and try and shed them off into the canals or into this hole in the middle here. Squabillion hoplets. Maybe get him to come a little bit later. He definitely has to be a lot more precise, which... So yeah, with the proper angle, we could definitely push a bunch of these guys in here. I feel like in larger armies, less likely these are going to be useful. Yeah, that was a great pull. Do it. Win. Yep. You got Sparted. Almost. Yeah, but that was a really great trade there. So... I guess if you can find yourself in a situation where you see like this exact kind of thing, or you just expect to be able to like maybe pepper them around chaotically and deal some damage to some random guys. I don't see them being able in any situation to really effectively deal with heavy units. So yeah, that set up them nicely to just push a bunch of the river. Yeah, so I guess they aren't terrible at chaos units. If you have a couple of, in a larger scale battle, if you have a couple of extra hundreds of points to spare and just want the chance of knocking someone to a river. Probably prefer to rely on like fan bearers, much cheaper, much more reliable, much more adaptable. Although to be honest, I'm not sure if they affect as heavy units as well. They may actually work better. Yeah, so Fenbearers have had their attack speed like super increased. I don't know if their damage is less now, but they're actually like incredibly useful in these kind of scenarios too. I'd probably just rely on a fan bearer rather than a shouter. So that's it's kind of a shame. Screamy boys can just kind of keep screaming. I'd say probably one shouter is probably more useful than one fan bearer, but overall, I'd rather have the fans. Okay, well that'll do it for me for today. We will do other things. Again, I don't think this is going to be a long-term thing I do. It's just, I just want to put out some videos and get some practice in editing. So, until next time, hello my baby, hello my darling, hello my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire, baby my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me, you'll be left alone. Oh baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own.